My aunt accidentally forwarded me a recording of my relatives describing me as a worthless disappointment, even though I had covered their expenses for years. She ought to have been thankful. They chuckled. I remained quiet until the following due date arrived. The clip lasted 11 seconds. I viewed it twice before grasping what I was seeing, not because it was confusing, but because it required 2 plays for my mind to stop debating whether my own family would truly behave this way. There it appeared on my display. The shot came from a phone camera positioned low and angled slightly, the sort of grip people use when recording secretly. The table in the distance belonged to my mother's dining area. I identified the arrangement. The preserved eucalyptus she had kept inside the same pottery container for 4 years. There was soup. All of them were having soup. I noticed the back of my brother Wade's head, my mother's side view. My sister Megan seated opposite. My aunt's arm showed faintly at the border of the shot. My mother uttered something I couldn't fully catch. Wade laughed first, the particular chuckle he reserves for humor aimed at others, the kind that signals agreement. Then the sound became clearer. My mother raised one hand, pointing her index finger upward, in the motion she employs when she seeks everyone's focus for an important announcement. The group fell silent. She delivered it with the steady confidence of someone issuing a long-awaited judgment. She should be thankful. At least the funds give her a reason to feel productive. The table erupted. 11 seconds. My soup turned cold. I placed my phone screen down on the surface and sat there experiencing the exact feeling of something long suspected finally appearing in undeniable form. My aunt had forwarded it unintentionally. I was sure of that. She followed up 4 seconds afterward with 3 question marks, as though attempting to undo a message she could no longer retrieve. I ignored the question marks. Instead, I opened my records. My name is Audrey Marsh. I am 34 years old. I work as a bookkeeper. I mention this not because it defines me most interestingly, but because it matters most to this account. I excel with figures. I recognize what columns reveal. My career has involved examining the reality that numbers disclose when properly organized. Yet in my private life for roughly 6 years, I had avoided organizing my personal figures properly. Because some inner part of me realized that the final sum would act as a reflection, and I was unprepared to face it. My father, Frank Marsh, passed away 6 years ago on a Tuesday in January. He was 59 years old, a roofer, a man who used the same type of work boots for 30 years and repeated the same 4 jokes at every family celebration. And loved my mother in the reliable, straightforward manner of someone who had chosen once and never looked back. He died the way laborers sometimes do, suddenly, a heart attack on the worksite. No alert and no readiness and no delay. He left behind a mortgage, 14 months overdue. The lender had issued 2 official warnings. My mother, Diane, is 60 years old and has not worked since I was in grade school. My brother, Wade, 31, possessed a credit record that his lending agent had once called. And I know this because Wade shared it as an amusing tale, a disaster area. My sister, Megan, 28, was in the midst of a jobless phase she described as a creative shift that stretched for 2 years. I was 28. Employed as a junior bookkeeper at an accounting office in the same moderate-sized Illinois town where we had all been raised. And I possessed solid credit and sufficient savings and my own mortgage that I managed smoothly. The lender planned to seize the property. I acquired it. I want to be exact here. I did not assist my mother in retaining the property. I did not jointly guarantee a loan. I did not offer money for a past due payment. I bought the property outright. I bargained with the lender. I set up my personal financing. I sat opposite a loan officer named Dennis Pratt, who had handled home loans for 22 years, and who examined my request with the careful focus of someone experienced enough to pose the inquiries others overlook. My name appeared on the ownership document. My name appeared on the loan agreement. My signature filled every required line. My mother remained in the residence she had occupied for 31 years. No one prepared belongings. No one bid farewell to the home. The family referred to it as Audrey managed the house situation. Casual, effortless. Used in the relaxed manner of something factually accurate, but intentionally shortened to hide its true scale. None of them inquired whose name appeared on the ownership. Following the house, additional needs arose like water seeping into openings. Not dramatically, not suddenly, but consistently and unavoidably, and always via the same available channels. Wade's vehicle loan 2 months later. He had operated without coverage and received a ticket and required the vehicle for employment, and the lender refused him. I jointly guaranteed the loan. My name on the documents. Audrey managed it. His vehicle, my niece and nephew's independent school fees, Megan's children, registered before Megan's creative shift concluded her earnings. The school offered a partial aid option, and Megan's request gained approval for 40%. The leftover 60% came to roughly $1,200 monthly. Audrey is so skilled with finances. Megan's housing costs, which began as a 3-month support while she switched living spaces, and extended into 4 years of regular deposits that I executed on the 1st of each month, from the account I had titled Personal. Costs because I had not been prepared to name it accurately. My mother's utility charges, which she brought up in the particular style she uses for matters she anticipates I will address. As details, not a plea. The electricity has increased so much since Frank passed. Within 2 days, her statement arrived in my inbox. I settled it, every month. Her property levies on the residence I owned, which she inhabited, which I funded the loan for. Her medical payments, which she messaged me as figures following doctor visits. The way certain individuals message their cafe order. Every month, identical routine. First of the month, coffee, worksheet, click, deposit, verify, click, deposit, verify. I never calculated the complete sum. I understood the reason, because I am a bookkeeper and I recognize what complete sums signify. And some inner part of me grasped that the complete sum would conclude something I was unwilling to conclude. As long as I avoided the final figure, I could preserve the narrative I had created for myself, that I was supporting, that this was short-term. That individuals would stabilize and the deposits would decrease organically. And I would reflect on this phase as the period I supported my relatives after my father passed. The recording was 11 seconds long. I examined the complete sum. I opened the worksheet at 9:14 p.m. on a Tuesday. 6 years, every entry, every section, every action, deposit. Verify extending back to the month my father passed. And I sat facing Dennis Pratt at the lender with my credit rating and my reserves and my signature, and the choice I had reached independently, without seeking anyone's view on whether it was sensible. I selected every section, the complete sum displayed at the base of the display. I am not going to state the number. It is substantial enough that mentioning it resembles expressing resentment rather than stating a fact, and I have spent my whole grown-up life avoiding expressions of resentment. What I will share is that it exceeded my yearly earnings. It surpassed the initial payment I had placed on my personal residence. It was the type of figure that, when viewed in one box at the base of a worksheet, ceases to be vague and turns solid in the manner that only complete sums can. What affected me was not the funds. I want to be precise about this. Funds are figures, and I have always handled figures well, and figures do not wound me. What wounded was the section beside the funds section. The one I had not created intentionally, but that arose from the dates. 6 years of Fridays I had declined opportunities because I was sending money I required to keep ready. 6 years of journeys I had skipped, 3 partnerships that had concluded. Partly because the ongoing mild monetary pressure of supporting 5 others, while sustaining my own existence, had turned me into someone hard to connect with fully. Appointments I had postponed to complete documents. Weekends I had devoted to conversations with lenders regarding accounts that did not belong to me. 6 years, I wept for 4 minutes. I know it was 4 minutes because I checked the clock above my workspace when I began, and I recorded the time the way bookkeepers record time, instinctively without intending to. Then I dried my face. Then I began working. The schedule had already fixed the date. The following payment period was the first of the month. My mother's 60th birthday gathering was the first of the month, the event I was funding. I had reserved the community center. I had organized the food service, Sandra's Table, a nearby catering service I had employed for a professional occasion, run by a woman named Sandra Kowalski, who had managed the field for 16 years, and who had verified the arrangement 3 days prior for 40 attendees, 4 dishes, 2 attendants. I had requested the dessert from the pastry shop my mother had chosen for every celebration in my recollection. I had prepared the invitations. I had managed all of it, as I managed all matters for this family, efficiently and discreetly and without demanding appreciation, because that was my role. I sat at my kitchen surface the evening after viewing the recording, and I created a strategy with 4 sections. I noted each one, not in the worksheet, on a notepad in my script, the left slanting writing I have used since 3rd grade. I listed them as a numbered sequence because I am someone who creates numbered sequences, and because noting something as a step makes it tougher to retract. Transfer the property ownership back to my mother, including the loan obligation. Let her manage what she had claimed she had been managing. 2, end every optional payment. The first of the month would mark the final first of the month. 3, assemble a packet for each of them. My mother, Wade, Megan, including the full 6-year documentation. Not an overview, not selected portions. Every entry, every date, every figure to the exact cent, nothing included, nothing adjusted. 4, underline twice. Do not debate. State what required stating. Place the packets. Leave. I had devoted 6 years to agreeing without a single mention of what that agreement demanded. I was going to disagree in the identical manner. I contacted Dennis Pratt the next morning. He remains at the identical lender. He recalled me immediately. I have fulfilled payments on that loan for 6 years without any delay, and lenders remember that. I described what I required. A rapid ownership transfer assigning it to my mother, keeping the current loan in effect, and instructions on the takeover procedure she would need to begin. He stayed silent briefly. The loan is under your name. He said, yes. She will have to meet standards for takeover according to her earnings. I understand. I will create a document outlining the details and the schedule. Can you prepare the takeover materials by week's end? Another pause. Dennis Pratt has managed home loans for 22 years, which means he has encountered the complete spectrum of family monetary circumstances and has learned to interpret unspoken elements. Brief pause. If you want more stories like this in better quality, my Spotify is linked in the description. He said, I will have it prepared Thursday. Thank you, Dennis. I contacted my lawyer next. Patricia Hinz, Property and Inheritance Law, 14 years of experience. The professional who had assisted me organized the initial acquisition, and who had always maintained my records neatly with the accuracy of someone who knew details count when situations grow complex. I described my actions. She remained silent in the particular manner of a lawyer evaluating a legal framework for something uncommon. You're transferring it to her with the loan in place, Patricia said. She will need to take it over or secure new financing. If she cannot meet requirements, that becomes her issue to resolve, I said. Not mine, Patricia stayed silent again. Then okay, I will prepare the transfer document by Friday. One additional item. I need it prepared by the 1st. That's 4 days, I know. I will handle it, she said. The community center was occupied by 4 o'clock. Sandra Kowalski's crew had completed the arrangement. White coverings, the quality decorations, a main table with a sign my mother had requested especially. That read, Diane, 60 and fabulous. The dessert came from the pastry shop. 3 layers, buttercream. The image reproduced on icing of my mother at 30 with my father. The image she had picked and messaged to me 3 weeks earlier with a note, ensure they match the colors correctly. The colors matched. My mother presided near the dessert in a fresh outfit she had purchased for the event. I knew it was fresh because she had forwarded me the receipt the week prior. Not seeking approval merely as details. The way she forwards things she expects me to address, I had addressed it. She shared the tale she favors most. I have heard it at every assembly since my father passed. The tale of after Frank left and the challenges and the resilience needed to maintain the family unit. The tale that presents her as the one who sustained everything. The tale that is accurate in the sense that events occurred and she was there, and entirely inaccurate in every other respect. After Frank left, someone needed to sustain this family. She said to a group of attendees near the beverage station, I simply did what was necessary. I sat at a surface near the rear, observing. The 4 packets rested in my bag. The ownership transfer document, with Dennis Pratt's takeover materials enclosed, was in the first one. My mother's name on the exterior and my steady bookkeeper's script. Wade's packet held his documentation. Megan's held hers. The 4th packet, smaller and note card enclosed, held determination dates. The 1st of the month, the final click, deposit, verify. When the dessert was divided, and the space had eased into the relaxed sounds of a gathering in its later stage, my mother tapped her sparkling glass with a sweets utensil. I want to share something, she said. The space quieted. My daughter Audrey has been such support organizing this. Audrey, would you like to share a few remarks? Come forward. She gestured toward me with the kind, open motion of a woman offering attention. She's the one who arranged everything. She's skilled at managing matters, courteous clapping. They anticipated the appreciative daughter, the one skilled at managing matters. The one who would stand at the front of the community center and offer something kind about her mother and return to her seat and click. Deposit. Verify again on the 1st of the coming month. I rose. I lacked a glass. I held the packets. I approached the front of the space. 40 attendees, individuals who had known my father, individuals who had seen me mature in this town. My aunt, who had forwarded me an 11-second recording unintentionally and had spent 4 days observing me with an expression I could not fully interpret. Mom, I said, this is for you. I approached the main surface and placed the 1st packet into her hands. It is the ownership document for the residence on Carlisle Street. It has been under my name for 6 years, since I acquired it from the lender after Dad passed, so you would not lose it. I spoke distinctly, not loudly. The space had fallen silent the way spaces do when they sense that events are unfolding differently than anticipated. Tonight I am transferring it back. The residence belongs to you, along with the loan I have maintained every month. The documents inside describe how to take it over. You should contact the lender Monday, Dennis Pratt. He has been your contact for 6 years. He awaits your call. The whispering began. I approached Wade's position, placed his packet down, then Megan's. Inside each of these is the full documentation of what I have covered for this family. Every charge, every deposit, every month extending back 6 years, to the exact cent. I added nothing. I modified nothing. I simply recorded what occurred. Wade had his opened. He is not someone who handles figures instinctively. But the complete sum is presented clearly at the top of the initial page. The way I present all complete sums, and I observed the number register with him. His expression shifted the way expressions shift when something vague turns solid. I did not hurry what followed. For 6 years I have been told I should be thankful that the funds gave me a purpose to feel productive. I allowed that statement to settle across the space. So tonight, with everyone present who cares for this family, I simply want the facts clear about who supported whom. My mother rose from her seat. The seat fell backward and struck the floor with a noise that pierced the space like emphasis. How dare you do this to me? Her tone held the particular tone of a woman displaying fury at the edge of real surprise. At my own celebration, before everyone, you have always been this way, envious, exaggerated, craving notice. I waited. I offered no reply. I did not interject. I stood at the front of the community center and permitted her to express everything, every term, every charge, every reinterpretation. Because I had created a strategy with 4 steps, and step 4 instructed, do not debate. And I intended to follow the strategy I had noted on a notepad at my kitchen surface at 9 o'clock in the evening 4 days earlier. She exhausted her energy. I am not seeking appreciation, I said. I am not seeking regret. I am simply finished funding my role as your target, from the surface near the rear wall, the surface where the senior attendees sat. Individuals who had known my father during his life and had attended tonight because they valued what remained of him in this family. A voice traveled clearly through the space. Howard Briggs. 71 years old, retired, had labored alongside my father for 20 years. His voice was calm, but the space was calm enough for it to reach. Lord, he said. The worthless one was the one sustaining everything. I positioned the final packet on the main surface, the small one, the note card, the deposits end on the first. I said, "The residence belongs to you now, Mom. I hope it matches everything you have described to everyone." I fastened my jacket. I departed. 40 attendees, and none of them chuckled. The space that had always felt too noisy for me was at last calm enough to register the facts. 3 months afterward, my mother contacted Dennis Pratt on the Monday following the gathering. I know because Dennis, who functions with the professional reserve of someone who has managed home loans for 22 years and knows precisely when to stay silent, contacted me on Wednesday to verify the takeover procedure had started, and to inform me that matters stood correctly on his side. She will meet standards for the takeover, he said. It will require around 6 weeks to complete. Thank you, Dennis, that was all. Patricia Hinz messaged me the documented transfer confirmation 2 weeks later. The residence is in my mother's name. I am not on the ownership. I am not on the loan. I have received 2 property levy notices in the last 3 months addressed to me. The county evaluation system has not refreshed yet, and I have redirected both to my mother's location without remark. Megan contacted me in the second week. She left a message that lasted 8 minutes and addressed in order: emotional pain, monetary worry, and claimed that I had arranged this to embarrass her, a plea for 1 additional month's housing. And a final comment on family allegiance. I heard the entire thing. I did not reply. She secured full-time employment 3 weeks afterward. I learned of it via my aunt, who had not forwarded me another unintentional recording, and who had, in the modest, intentional manners of some